LaBoucane Benson.
Honourable colleagues, I rise today on behalf of the Government Representative's Office to pay tribute to my colleague and friend, Senator Marc Gold, on a remarkable career in the Senate. Marc, in February 2020, the Prime Minister asked you to be the government representative in the Senate. And within a month of you, Senator Gagne and I beginning our work in the new GRO, this chamber and the whole world shut down for COVID. In retrospect, boss, this was probably a pretty good preparation for the next 5 years we've spent doing this together, because nothing has ever been normal. Or when things seem normal, they never stayed that way for long. Yet, you've always rolled with it. From early morning leadership meetings to the fun and games of question period to 5 hours on your feet for a marathon debate on the Emergency Measures Act, the entire GRO team has admired your stamina, your ability to absorb information, and your sense of humor through it all. Your lack of a poker face, however, not so much. Before I wrote this tribute, I spoke with the GRO staff, who are all here today, to get their thoughts. They mentioned your impromptu law lectures and your guitar performances at our holiday parties. But above all else, there was one thing that kept coming up: the genuine care, kindness, and pride you have for our team. Marc, you frequently brag that we have the best team on the Hill, and I agree. But it's in large part because of you and your leadership. You've also set an example of how to be a leader in this vast, diverse country, both before and during your time as a senator. You've been a committed supporter of the Jewish community and Israel, and I've personally enjoyed our conversations about Judaism and Zionism, as well as the substantive assigned reading list you gave me on this topic, and I promise I'll get through it eventually. And you've used your Jewish values to reach out and build relationships with folks of other faiths. Similarly, you're a proud Quebec Anglophone with a deep affinity for Francophone culture and interests. Marc, you've demonstrated that we strengthen our own community by building bridges and friendships with others. Now, there's one other unofficial member of the GRO who also deserves a tribute: your wonderful wife, Nancy. Nancy, you've been a big part of this team, supporting Marc throughout this time in his chamber. I know how happy you will be to have Marc back, but know that your Ottawa family will sorely miss you both. Though, as Senator Pettin mentioned, Marc's face will remain a constant presence around here. Many of us have our swearing-in photos on our desks, and there you are, and a whole lot of them, smiling away, and honestly reminding us how to do this job with good humor and with honor. And finally, Francis Lankin told me, what do you call someone who you admire and wish to emulate? Someone of noble character, someone who always exhibits rectitude and dignity, someone who is guided by a sense of what is right, responsible, and decorous. You call him a friend and a real mensch. You call him the Honourable Senator Marc Gold.
Senator Housakos.
Honourable colleagues, today I rise to pay tribute to a remarkable public servant, Senator Marc Gold, who retires after nearly 9 years of service in this august chamber, including 5 distinguished years as the government leader in the Senate. I was already very well aware of Senator Gold's who he was prior to his appointment to the Senate on November 25, 2016, as he was truly a force in Montreal and beyond. A graduate of McGill, UBC Law, and Harvard Law, he spent years teaching constitutional law at Osgoode Hall, training federally appointed judges, and later serving as Associate Dean. Where I really learned about Marc was as a leader in the Jewish community, serving as a chair of the Jewish Federation of Canada, on the Board of Governors of the Jewish Agency for Israel, and as national chair of the Canada-Israel Committee. And in 2015, he was awarded the Samuel Brofman Medal for his outstanding leadership in Montreal's Jewish community. In the Senate, as one of the early independent senators, he embodied the principle of sober second thought, rigorously reviewing bills as an independent voice. His leadership so compelling and his voice so independent, colleagues, that somebody took notice in the PMO, and in January 2020, he was named leader of the government representative in the Senate, a role in which he has consistently advanced government priorities, and I have to underline, with the utmost integrity. Senator Gold, I have truly enjoyed our exchanges. No matter how exasperated you may have been with me, or how acrimonious some of our debates might have appeared to others, but I have to highlight that those vigorous exchanges speak to the health of our democracy, that we can disagree vociferously and yet remain friends, treating one another with respect at the end of every day. I treasured a lot more our private discussions, though. They reveal the depth of your character, your wisdom, and your genuine goodwill. Now that you're stepping away from your Senate duties, I know you'll have time to take your musical talents and show on the road. The bad news, unfortunately, Senator Ringette and Senator Cormier are not just quite ready to go on the road with you, but eventually one day you'll practice and get ready for that moment. But having said that, Marc, you have served with distinction and with honor. Your family, Nancy, your two children, your wonderful grandchildren must be incredibly proud of you, as is your extended family, I am sure. We wish you, on behalf of our caucus, all the best in this next chapter. You've earned every encore, every journey, every moment, and we thank you. Mazel tov for your success. Thank you for your service to your country, and health to the future of whatever it may hold in your retirement. Thank you, and God bless you.
Senator Saint-Germain.
Madam Speaker, dear colleagues.
Mixed feelings that I rise today to pay tribute to our colleague, Senator Gold, someone whom I have had the pleasure to work with, first within the ISG facilitation team, and then as representative of the government in the Senate. A very demanding role, you would agree, that he has held for more than 5 years. As government representative, Senator Gold has, without a doubt, demonstrated his dedication to the Senate and to the Canadian people. I talk of true dedication because I vividly remember his marathon-worthy performance in answering our questions during the debate on the use of the Emergencies Act. Frankly, I remember it so well because I was the next person in line on the order paper and had to wait passionately listening to Senator Gold for 7 long hours before giving my own speech. But Senator Gold, in this hard and often thankless role, you have shown a profound sense of dignity. In the face of sometimes very difficult questions and hard criticism for the government, you had the duty to represent in this chamber. You always remain dignified and humane. In other words, you remain true to yourself. The force of your character truly shined in these difficult moments, for instance, in debates that held a fundamental significance for you personally, like on the conflict between Israel and Palestine, or on Canada's official languages. You remained measured and dignified and balanced. I commend you on the example you set and on your city leadership. As government representative, you acted in an important way to enshrine the principles of the independent Senate within our rules, with the help of Senator LaBoucane. The changes you brought forward will have a lasting impact on this institution. It is a great legacy you leave to the Senate and Canada as a whole. Senator Gold, vous et moi.
Senator Gold, you and I, as well as the Senator from Quebec, Senator Marie-Françoise Mégy, were all sworn in on the same day. I still remember it as though it were yesterday. These memories remind me of how too little time we really do have in the Senate and the need to invest all of our time in it. To make our time here count, I can tell you, Senator Gold, that few will have invested as much as you did. You leave a lasting legacy. I'm happy to know that you'll now have more time for Nancy, your children, your grandchildren, your family, and your community, who will no doubt be delighted not to have to share you with us.
Senators from the Independent Senators Group wish you a wonderful retirement with your loved ones. I know your contribution to Canada is far from over. We wish you the very best in your next endeavors. Thank you. Merci, Mitwich.
Senator Tannas.
It is a twist of fate, and with a large amount of irony, that our colleague, Senator Marc Gold, a lawyer, constitutional expert, and an academic who trained those headed for the bench, now faces one of the last vestiges of constitutional discrimination in Canada, the dreadful but constitutional mandatory Senate retirement. The Senate is one of the last remaining places in Canada where your workplace says to you, happy birthday, and by the way, you're fired. Hand in your keys and your pass. Many distinguished Canadians have accepted the title of senator over the last century and a half. We also accepted the responsibility to represent and be the voices of our province and our region. And while we carry the title of senator, there are some individuals that go above and deserve more. Senator Gold is one of those individuals. If the title of gentleman senator was an official moniker, Mark, you would have that designation. Over the last few years, I've had the honor to work with Senator Gold as a government representative. At the leadership table, he had the difficult task, at times impossible task, to shepherd the government's legislative agenda through the Senate. As the Senate whisperer to the government, he conducted himself with distinction, courage, and tenacity, on top of an unwavering dedication to his role and to the Senate. At times, he advanced the government's business with a golden touch. I apologize. While there were some tense times at the leadership table, and there are too many to count, Senator Gold always, and without fault, acted with respect towards leaders, senators, and staff. As I said before, a true gentleman. His participation in this chamber will be missed. One thing that I will not miss are the Saturday and Sunday telephone calls. While my interactions with him on the weekend were important and fruitful, they did lead to some misunderstandings. Having to answer the telephone and move to another room for a private call did leave my wife wondering from time to time if there was something else going on. To my colleague and friend, Senator Marc Gold, you will be missed in this place. I'm sure that your next life chapter will involve more time in the classroom and on stage with your guitar. And I hope you find ways to combine them both at the same time. I would say, Mark, and Senator LaBoucane Benson talked about you being a lousy poker player with your face and your reactions. You are the most human person I've had the privilege of meeting. At all times, a human. And I just want to say thank you and my life is enriched for working with you, talking with you, listening to you. On behalf of the Canadian Senators Group, we wish you a happy and restful retirement.
Senator Harder.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the Progressive Senate Group, I want to associate ourselves with all of the comments made thus far. Mark, it's a hard act to conclude, but I'm going to reflect a little bit on Lord Peter Hennessy, who's both a friend and a well-noted historian who's written the book on British machinery of government, parliament practices, etc. And he coined the phrase hidden wiring. In fact, he wrote a book called The Hidden Wiring, which was all about how governments work behind the scenes and what connections there are that you don't see, which are essential for success. And I reflected that many people have talked about your role as the representative of the government to the Senate. I want to take a few minutes to talk about the hidden wiring of representing the Senate to the government. That is you referred to it as the whisperer. I'm making it a machinery of government issue. And I think it's important for us to recall, what do we mean by that? We would not have had the Parliament of Canada Act amendments without the representative of the Senate to the government impressing upon the government the importance of the Parliament of Canada Act amendments and getting the Minister of Finance to include the necessary matters that were in the budget. Also in 2003, the Senate was asked quickly to pass C-12 on the old age supplement, if you recall. To avoid additional delay, Senator Gold promised to this chamber that technical amendments that would address errors that had been introduced in the Old Age Security Act would be addressed in the earliest future legislative opportunity. The fix was included in the BIA shortly thereafter. We trusted you to deliver the message to the Senate, to the government. We were asked to pass Bill C-13 on official languages, even though it contained a drafting error. Senator Gold gave us his word that it would be fixed at the earliest legislative opportunity. We trusted him, and again, behind the scenes, he worked to deliver the goods. Finally, on Bill C-11, the Online Streaming Act, the government asked the Senate to accept the House's rejection of one of its most critical amendments, one that would have scoped out user-generated content from Bill C-11. Senator Gold made us a promise that we would appropriately scope out digital-first creators and user-generated content from C-11 through the policy directive process following royal assent. But he went even further, this time playing out his role representing the Senate to the government in the open by including the following language in the GRO's proposed message back to the House, and I want to quote it, that the Senate take note of the Government of Canada's stated intent that Bill C-11 will not apply to user-generated digital content and its commitment to issue policy directive to the CRTC. In his remarks, Senator Gold stated, the message we would send to the other place with this motion is that we in the Senate will be watching the government's next steps carefully with the expectation that they be consistent with the promises they have made and that I have repeated to you in this chamber. In other words, the hidden wiring of our institutional relationship is represented not just by the government representative to the Senate, by the Senate's representative to the government. I want to go back to Peter Hennessy again, because he also had another well-coined phrase that he adopted several times in his history, and he talked about the good chap theory of government. Now, I'm sure that he meant it as a gender-neutral word, but a good chap knows what a good chap has to do and doesn't need to be told. Senator Gold, you're a good chap.
Honourable Senators, I wish to draw your attention to the presence in the gallery of Nancy Cummings Gold, Senator Gold's spouse, as well as our former colleague, the Honourable Frances Lankin, PC, and on behalf of all Senators, welcome you to the Senate of Canada. Senator Gold.
Thank you. Patty, Raymond, Leo, Scott, Peter, thank you for such kind and generous words. I don't have a good poker face. I'm really overwhelmed. My dear colleagues, I had a hard time writing this speech, a really hard time, and I think part of it is that I have very mixed feelings about leaving this place and leaving all of you who have become like a family to me. So, tradition. I took a page from our former colleague, George Baker, who, to be sure, and many of us know, he honored it more in the breach than in the observance, always began his remarks by promising to be brief, and I will be reasonably brief today as well. It has been the privilege of my life to have served as a senator, and it's an honor to have been entrusted with the role of government representative in the Senate. As I stand here today, I am overwhelmed with emotion, but
above all, with a very deep feeling of gratitude. Je tiens à remercier le Premier ministre Justin Trudeau.
I would like to thank Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for the opportunity he has given me and for the confidence he has shown in me. Prime Minister, I am proud of the work we have done together, and I wish you happiness and fulfillment as you embark on a new chapter in your life. Thank you to all the senators who welcomed me so warmly on my arrival, to the group of senators who were appointed with me in autumn 2016. We all share a special bond, having arrived at the same time, and to all those who came afterwards. There are too many of you, present or retired, for me to name you individually, but I want you to know that you have taught me a great deal about what's important to you, about your dedication to your communities, your provinces, your regions. You have enriched my understanding and deepened my love of our country. It's been an extraordinary gift to work with all of you, and I will miss it.
To former Speaker George Fury. George, if you're watching, you've been a source of wise counsel and support to me from the day that I arrived here, and most importantly, you've been a very good friend to me and to my dear wife, Nancy. Thank you very much. I also want to thank all the leaders of the parliamentary caucuses and groups in the Senate with whom I have worked over the last 5.5 years. Senators Wu, Senator Saint-Germain, Plett, Housakos, Tannas, Cordy, Dalphon, and Francis. Despite our differences and at times our disagreements, we shared a common purpose: to represent and serve our fellow Canadians and to uphold the constitutional values upon which our country is founded and the promotion of which is at the heart of our role as senators. So to all of you, Raymond, Leo, Scott, Brian, Pierre, Pau, and if you're watching, Jane and Dawn, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your collaboration in the work we did together in pursuit of those noble ends. Colleagues, if I've had any success as a senator, it's due in no small measure to the remarkable people who have supported me throughout my time here. So let me begin with my Senate colleagues on the GRO team. When I first was named government representative in the Senate, as Senator LaBoucane Benson already noted, I was joined by Senator Gagné as deputy and Senator LaBoucane Benson as liaison. I could not have asked for better partners. Raymond, you were calm, strategic, and focused, and always there to steer us in the right direction. And Patty, you brought and bring incredible political acuity, a deep intelligence, and a wonderful and terrifically irreverent sense of humor to our work. We really had a good time together, and we did good work together and had fun doing it. And when Senator Gagné was named our Speaker and Senator LaBoucane Benson became our Deputy, the GRO was joined by a series of outstanding colleagues in the role of liaison. Senator Odette, who broadened my perspective on how leadership connects with one's core values. Senator Lankin, a mentor and friend to me since my first days in the Senate, and who shepherded much-needed rule changes in the Senate. And now Senator Penton, whose experience, positivity, and incredible people skills are an invaluable addition to our team. I have been really lucky to work alongside such wonderful colleagues, to be part of a dream team. Smart, focused, strategic, and fun to be with. So thank you all for your friendship and for your support, and to help make this place work. Tous les sénateurs savent à quel point ils dépendent de leur personne.
All senators know how much they depend on their staff for support and advice. So let me say a few words about the extraordinary group of professionals who have supported me during my mandate. First of all, I'd like to thank Ginette Tremblay, who joined my office the day I was sworn in, who has worked with me at the GRO as Director of Operations, and who is now enjoying a well-deserved retirement with her husband, Michel. Jess Mace joined me shortly afterwards and helped me enormously as I began to familiarize myself with the committees. And Dorothy Liang, who joined my office a year later and has been an invaluable resource to me from day one. It's a pleasure to work with Dorothy, who joined me at the GRO as Legal and Parliamentary Counsel and is an important part of our team.
And the GRO really is a team, a great team in all my professional life. And I've been really lucky to have worked with so many extraordinary people. And I can say, and without exaggeration, and I don't think I exaggerate very often, I've never worked with as talented a team, most of them are up there, that we have here in the GRO. I can't say enough about every one of them. And to be faithful to my promise to be brief, I won't be doing them the justice that they deserve today, but here goes anyway. To my Chief of Staff, Eric Antoine Menard, you've been an invaluable advisor to me. You're one of the smartest political minds that I've ever met, and someone equally important that has a deep commitment to the Senate. You're not afraid to challenge me. You do it often. And that's a good thing. That's what we need. But you always do it with kindness, and you always do it with respect. I couldn't do this job without you. Truth is, I couldn't have done this job without the help of every member of the team. So to Michael Penny, as our Deputy Chief of Staff, I've seen you grow in your roles within the GRO from the time I first met you, long before I joined the GRO. Your positive attitude, your tremendous work ethic, and your ability to stay calm, or at least appear to stay calm, through the inevitable crises and surprises that are a feature of our work. It's both a comfort and an encouragement to us all. And to Chloe Bedio, our Director of Communications. GRO is really lucky to have somebody someone with your experience and your professionalism and your good humor. And I'm very grateful to you for all the support you've provided to me in facing the media and other events for which I was ill-prepared, temperamentally in any event. To Laura LaBelle, our Director of Policy. Laura, with your deep understanding of the policy process and your experience on the Hill and in the PMO, you're a tremendous addition to the GRO and a true delight to work with. To Liliane Delange Larson, you joined the GRO as Director of Operations when Jeanette retired, and you assumed your role with skill and dedication. You also had the additional and I think sometimes unenviable task of taking care of me as my de facto executive assistant at the same time. But thank you all for what you did for the GRO and for me personally. Michael Millick, he came to us after working with the Honorable Ralph Goodale and then the PMO, joining Senator LaBoucane Benson's team as Director of Parliamentary Affairs. Michael, you've been a great asset on so many important files and a wonderful colleague with whom to work. Ariana Knopfel came to the GRO with Senator Penton as Director of Parliamentary Affairs and Issues Management. Ariana, your integration into our team was seamless, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you better. And Ben Gundurge is our professional procedural go-to guy. As our senior procedural advisor, he's been with the GRO since the very early years. Every morning he welcomes us with his infectious smile and his good humor, and his positive energy keeps us going until we leave, sometimes late at night. Thank you, Ben. Geneviève Levesque is a longstanding member of the team. As our senior legal and parliamentary affairs advisor, she plays an important role supporting sponsors, interacting with government offices and with ministers' offices, and making sure we stay on top of the files as they evolve. Merci, Geneviève. Sean Callahan is a relatively recent addition to the GRO. Amongst his other responsibilities as parliamentary affairs and operations advisor, Sean's the one who prepares me for question period every sitting day. Don't blame him for my non-answers, that's on me. But Sean, it's been a real pleasure working with you and seeing you grow on the job. Sarah Ellen also joined us as part of Senator Penton's team as our parliamentary affairs advisor and quickly became an indispensable member of our team. Sarah, you're a dedicated professional and a real pleasure to work with. Lauren Stokes has been with us in the GRO for several years now as Senator LaBoucane Benson's executive assistant. Lauren, your professionalism and welcoming demeanor is apparent to all. We are lucky to have you with us. The GRO was also blessed to have had other talented professionals who, though no longer with us in the office, were valuable members of the group. Rosemary Brisson was around the GRO when I first arrived in the Senate, and I had the very good fortune of having her part of the team when I was named government representative. Rose was a terrific colleague, an excellent speechwriter, and a good friend. Rod Leggett joined the GRO early on as the Director of Parliamentary Affairs for Senator Gagne. He was our lead on many files and also assumed speechwriting responsibilities. We also shared a love of music, and I had the pleasure of sitting in with his band for a couple of gigs around town. And finally, there's Maya Zanali, who for many years served as the welcoming face to our office when she served as executive assistant to the GRO. Maya was a great help to me as she was to everyone in the office. Thank you, Maya, very much. And one last word, if I may, before I move on from the GRO. Because the core of this team was built by my predecessor, Senator Peter Harder. Peter, those of us who were here at the beginning knew how hard you worked to build the office and to establish its legitimacy and its credibility, both within the Senate and with government. You did all the heavy lifting, and you made it very, very easy for me to step into your shoes and for us to succeed Grant and Deanne and you when you left the office. And more importantly, you've been a really good friend and a very trusted advisor for all these years, so thank you very much, Peter. Colleagues, I began by thanking all the senators who welcomed me, all the senators and members of my team with whom I've had the pleasure to work and serve and who've supported me. But the truth is, I was also very warmly welcomed by a host of dedicated people who support each and every one of us every single day and whose hard work and dedication makes this place work. From the protective service personnel who welcome us in the morning and keep us safe, to the folks who keep our building and offices clean, who feed us, who deliver our mail, who drive us around the precinct, to the pages, lovely pages who assist us in so many ways, to the clerks at the table and in committees who keep our proceedings going smoothly, to the analysts from the Library of Parliament upon whom we rely, to our interpreters, our translators, to all those who provide the administrative support in the offices and directorates in this place. And there's a lot of folks. Some of them we see and some of them are behind the scenes, but you all are the backbone of this place and an indispensable part of the Senate family. So thank you for your friendly smiles in the morning, your good cheer throughout the day, and into our evening sittings. And a special thanks to two very special members of the Senate family whose support and friendship means a great deal to me. To our Clerk of the Senate, Shaila Anwar. You've made an incredible contribution to this chamber over so many years of dedicated service. It's been a great pleasure to work with you and the incredible team that you oversee. Your respect for and service to this place is really inspiring. And to our usher of the Black Rod, Greg Peters. You distinguish yourself and you honor us with your devotion to this place and its traditions. Thank you for your service and thank you for your friendship. And thank you for sharing your lovely singing voice with us on special occasions. A pause that refreshes. You know, at a time like this, colleagues, I'm sure this is true for all of us when we see new senators sworn in, but at a time like this, I cannot help but remember the day that I was sworn in. And on that day, at a reception that Senator Fury hosted for us new senators, he reminded us that the great privilege that had been bestowed upon us also came with a cost borne by our partners and our families. So now I turn to pay tribute to the person who's been with me throughout this incredible time, and indeed who's been with me for 48 years. The love of my life, my lovely wife, Nancy. Wow. Got some brownie points there, let me tell you. I'll stop there. Look, Nancy, you know that I'm famous for speaking in cliches. In fact, so does my team in the GRO. They mock me all the time about it. But cliches take hold because they contain truths. And the truth is I couldn't have done this without you. You've been beside me the whole way, with love, with support, with understanding. And I know how hard it was for you at times away from each other, times when my work took over my time and took over my spirit, times when I wasn't there for you when I should have been. I'm sorry about that. But you bore that with understanding and grace. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have helped me do my best. And I have tried to do my very best to honor this place and to promote its role and its legitimacy in the eyes of the Canadian public, to secure its future as a vital part of our parliamentary and constitutional democracy, to demonstrate that a more independent and less partisan Senate can add value to the public policy process for the benefit of Canadians, to model a way of engaging in political debate that is respectful and reasoned, to seek compromise and common ground in the best interest of this place and of our country. And finally, never to forget who I am and where I came from, and never to confuse the privilege and the great privileges of being a senator with a sense of entitlement. In this, I've been animated by the values I inherited from my family and from my tradition, from my grandparents of blessed memory who came to this country fleeing oppression and seeking a better life for their family, from my late father, who I so wish could have been with me to share this chapter in my life, and from my dear 96-year-old mother, who's watching this from her apartment in Montreal. And she's probably watching and grumbling that my beard makes me look old. Mom, get over it. I mean, I am old, or at least the Constitution says I'm old. Anyway. But for 96 years, nobody could tell my mother what to do, so I'm not going to succeed this time. And I'm also exceptionally proud, as I know Nancy is, that these same values are being carried forward by my daughters, Jenny and Emmy, and my granddaughters, Abby and Nellie. But all good things come to an end. That's another cliche, but one that's true as it is unavoidable. And so I come to the end of these remarks. Dear colleagues and dear members of the Senate family, serving here with you has been one of the greatest experiences of my life, for which I will be forever grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will miss you all enormously.